This is a story about my trip to India. And I know what you're thinking, but Nathan, aren't you Indian? So, yes, that's true, but I don't really have like a personal connection to India. So, this trip was more of me like visiting a distant land than actually coming home to India. So I traveled from South Africa to Ethiopia, then made my way all the way up to Delhi. And finally, from Delhi, I made my way to my final location, which is Ahmedabad. And this is located in the state of Gujarat. Like most of you watching, I didn't really know what to expect because most of my knowledge of India comes from Bollywood movies. You know, the random romantic dancing, the huge colorful festivals, and the big, big weddings with the dramatic dun 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 moments. But to my disappointment, people don't randomly just break out into well choreography dance out in the streets. And the biggest rumor that India smells when you get there to me was incredibly false because all it smelled like was, you know, that Indian auntie? Her house just times by two. So to most Indians, it would probably be a normal smell. I guess for anybody who's non-Indian, go to an Indian restaurant. Similar. If you think South African taxis drive like crazy, India takes that to a whole new level. Scooters are everywhere. And the legal age to get a scooter license is actually 16, which blew my mind. And don't get me started on the hooting. And honestly, the hooting, it's not really aggressive. It's not like a, hey, get out of the way. It's more like a, hey, I'm here. Please let me through. Also, staying in your lane is more like an option. Like the road markings are more of a suggestion. And I know most of y'all are probably asking, are there cows in the road? Yes, there are. But it's mostly in like the rural areas. You'd hardly see them where there's a concentration of people. Now for the food. Honestly, it was so surprising, but in the best of ways. And I will honestly admit it every single time. I cannot handle spicy food. Most people would say I have a white man's tummy, if you know what I mean. Why, bro? Why? It gives you like this heat rush. It's instant. As soon as you put it in your mouth, it's like you feel the spice. Yeah. They just use normal red chili. Oh my god. What is it? Yeah. But here's the thing, the food in the southern part of India is more sweet, creamy, and rich. It doesn't really have to be hot, but it is still delicious. Gujarat, where I spent most of my time, is actually a vegetarian state. Now that means that majority of their food there is plant-based. But don't let that fool you into thinking that their food is light and healthy. Those vegetarian dishes are rich and flavorful and filled with a whole lot of calories. But yes, you can find meat dishes. If you go to sort of like the bigger hotels, you'll be able to find meat. But honestly, I didn't find it the best. And to be honest, you don't really need it. The vegetarian dishes taste so good that you won't really miss meat that much. And as for the street food, I know a lot of people say, oh, it's dirty and not sanitary. But honestly, that is also a slight myth as well, because you can find places where they follow sort of sanitary rules. So I went to this place where it was also on the street, and before they make each meal, they put on gloves and they make the dishes in front of you so you can see everything and how it's made properly. And at that same street vendor, oh my god, I could not get enough of their food. It was so amazing. So the first night we went there, we probably ordered everything on the menu. And oh, if I go back, I will run to that place. And now to get to the spicy stuff. How I saw dating in India. One of the highlights of my trip was visiting the Sabarmati riverfront. Don't ask me to say that 5 times faster. Hands down, one of the most romantic spots I have ever seen. So at this riverfront, you can rent a bicycle, you can rent a scooter, you can take a nice brisk walk along the river. And I just feel it's like a nice place. They have like this amazing step next to the river where you can just sit as a couple, and it's so beautiful. It feels like the perfect place for a Romeo and Juliet style love, you know? You just want to be together but not be seen. What surprised me the most about the spot was how safe I felt. Because even at night, I felt completely safe. And the best part, it's completely free because this is a public space. Because many people in India finish work quite late, between like 7 and 8, the nightlife is surprisingly very active. And not like the clubbing scene active, more like social meetups active, you know? Because I noticed that a lot of couples meet for like casual dates at street vendors and restaurants, even on a weekday. It really gave me a different perspective on how young people in India socialize as well as date. And now for you ladies, shopping in India. Shopping in India is a full-on adventure. And I was lucky enough to experience both sides, the high-end malls as well as the local markets. I visited Palladium Mall, which gave me serious Santon City vibes, and also Alpha Mall, which was similar to Mall of Africa, so that's just like a reference I can give. The designs of these malls were spectacular, and overall prices were about like half of what you would pay in South Africa for similar products. But honestly, the moment you stepped into Indian traditional fashion houses, you know, the ones that sell the big flashy Bollywood outfits that you would see in the movies, the prices just skyrocketed. Honestly, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack when I walked into those stores. Then there's the street markets where I picked up some bangles for my beautiful baby. And I got a few items for myself as well. And just a word of advice, if you can't speak the local language, make sure you take someone with you who can. Otherwise, you might get taken advantage of just a little bit. So I was lucky enough to have a colleague with me who could not only speak the language, but skills as a haggler. Oh, like a G. Because if you have really good negotiating skills, you can get the deals of your life. Now for the more traditional side of me. I had the opportunity to visit a temple. Because no trip to India would be complete without at least visiting one temple. So I was lucky and I happened to visit around the time of the auspicious prayer Mahashivaratri. And honestly, I was completely unprepared of how massive this event was. I've visited a lot of temples in South Africa, but nothing has compared to what I experienced here. It honestly felt more like a festival than a prayer day at a temple. So the streets around the temple were packed with vendors that were selling food, drinks. There were even people walking around charging for fancy dots on your forehead. There was even a tightrope act just outside the temple, and if you enjoyed the show, you could give a donation. Getting inside the temple was actually super organized. It was single file line. You move in, you say your prayer to the deity, and then you move along. Honestly, it was a truly unforgettable experience. Now we need to speak about the hard truths about India. While my trip was filled with amazing moments and experiences, I honestly was not blind to the hardships that were found in India as well. The gaps between the rich and the poor in India was shockingly vast. Visiting the temple really opened my eyes to how great the divide in India is. You see these luxury cars parked outside, and just a few blocks away, you see people living with almost nothing. For many working class Indians in India, working for a quarter of what you would earn in South Africa is actually considered a norm. Most blue collar employees work 12-hour shifts 6 days a week, and often that's without any overtime. And yeah, sure, I'm sure you're telling yourself the cost of living in India is low, but that comes with a very heavy price, especially for those right at the bottom of the economic ladder. With that being said, one thing that really stood out to me was the pride and the resilience of the Indian people. Despite these tough conditions, they hold their head up high, work hard, and continue to move forward in the hopes of a better future. And that brings us to the end of this amazing journey that I had on my first trip to India. It was honestly a trip that challenged my expectations, opened my eyes, and left me with memories that I think I will love for the rest of my life. From the chaos of the traffic to the unbelievable food, to the street markets, the spiritual energy you felt within the temples, and the harsh realities felt by many Indians within the country. I honestly feel like I've seen quite a lot of India, both sides being good and bad. I honestly went there with very little connection to India and its people. And I came back with a new understanding of where some parts of me come from. If you've ever thought about visiting India, I would highly recommend it. As long as you go with an open mind and a respect for the culture, I promise you, you'll leave with a couple of stories. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel and drop a comment. Share your experiences as well. The whole point of this platform is that we get to share our experiences and grow our knowledge. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and until next time.